Welcome to Closing Conversations, a show for founders, leaders, and sellers who win together. I'm Max Notis. Today's guest is living proof that if you put value out consistently, the clients will come right to you. Adam Brown is the founder of Sircle Media, a social agency for food and beverage brands, and he's built something rare, a thriving business with zero ad spend and no outbound sales. His secret? Show your work, build in public, and be relentlessly human. We talk about creating real momentum on LinkedIn, the hidden cost of lazy AI content, and why helping people is the best sales strategy there is. Whether you're growing a brand or a book of business, there's gold in here. Let's get into it. Adam, it is good to have you on the show. How you doing?
Good to be here, man. How are you doing?
I can complain, but I'm not going to. Adam, for the audience, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Adam Brown. I live in New York City. I own an agency called Sircle Media. We do social media management, content creation, influencer work, and email for food and beverage brands. Been doing it for 13 years and dad of 2 teenage girls, and been in New York my whole life other than 4 years in Ann Arbor. That's me.
Very cool. So going into just kind of the work stuff of it, your business, you built a no sales, no ads business using only LinkedIn. How the hell do you do that?
It comes from a long history and love for sales. I'm one of the weird, quirky people that love sales. It's like my only superpower. So I think most people get into sales and they run from it, or they build something and as soon as they can outsource sales, they do it to like a 22-year-old and then they get out of it. I'm the opposite. I have outsourced literally every other role to people on my team and I just do the sales. So, whether I'm DMing brands prior to LinkedIn on Instagram, right now it's mostly LinkedIn. Prior to that, I started in .com sales during the .com boom in 1999. I then worked for a decade in mortgage sales, like literally smiling and dialing, calling 700 people a day, and then using a ringer that automatically dialed people for me. So just always been around sales. So to me, like going on LinkedIn, putting out content and connecting with people is a cakewalk compared to smiling and dialing sales and like trying to hunt for business. So it's like over the years, just all this experience in and around sales has gotten me to this place where it's like literally like shooting fish in a barrel by using LinkedIn. And I've reaped the benefits from it.
I've done the 7,000 calls a day kind of thing. I've managed people doing the 7,000 call a day thing. And I got to tell you, if I had something where I could make the phone ring for them, that sounds so nice.
Yeah, we used to spend $2 million a month on marketing when I was in the mortgage business. And we would run ads on like Jerry Springer or like the Oprah Winfrey Show. And we would get like 30,000 phone calls in 3 minutes inbound and then distribute it to our people. It was crazy, but I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore.
It's funny. You also probably even begin to recognize like, oh, Oprah leads, those are crap. Oh, Springer leads, like these, like how did that shake out?
No, they all kind of worked out, but yeah, you're not wrong. Like most people that were sitting around watching Jerry Springer at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday were not the best, go-getter candidates, but it did lead to a lot of activity for sure.
I believe that. Well, so then let's parlay this over to what you're doing and doing well. So you're telling me you're using LinkedIn, you're not making 7,000 calls a day, which that's good. And it's shooting fish in a barrel. How are you actually drumming up so many opportunities for yourself?
So I really, as crazy as this sounds, I really do almost no outbound. Like when I say I'm using LinkedIn, I am just putting out daily content, which then leads to comments, which in those comments then leads to a little bit of banter, which allows me to basically flex what I do without being salesy, which is great. You have to do the long game on it. So by doing it this long, usually people are like, hey, I've been following you for the last 2 years. So they know what I do. They know I'm a good guy. They know I care about Michigan football. They know I care about my kids. Like they don't have to like worry, like, is this guy a snake oil salesman? Like when you're doing it this long and you focus on one category, there's a really good reputation. Obviously, you have to be a good human and be good. You can't fake that kind of stuff. But if you're a good person and you put out content for free, like it really helps solidify and shorten the sales cycle because they're like, I already know who you are and what you do. Now I just want to make sure it's a fit and see what the pricing is. So it's a very short sales cycle. Also, just by looking on LinkedIn every day, I just go in and I can see in the morning, everyone who followed me or everybody who looked at my profile. So like today, a brand that I've been really interested in looking at working with, I've never reached out to. I saw him at a trade show recently. I don't know who he is. I saw that he looked at my profile. He also liked one of my posts. So I literally just DM'd him, not like a sales pitch. I was like, hey. He's like, hey. I'm like, should we talk? He's like, we should. And like that was it. And I don't know if I'm going to work with him, but like it's like It's just amazing that you can do that. So that's the extent of my outbound. It's like, if I saw that you looked at me, I follow up, and it leads to a lot of activity. In quieter times, maybe I'm putting out a little more content. Maybe I double it up a little bit, but I don't really do that much like outward sourcing these days, and knock on wood, hopefully that continues.
I love that your response is just, hey. It's just as simple as, hey. You think there doesn't need to be more than that. And if you do more of that, it probably comes across as salesy. And it's interesting because you are doing some outbound, but it's in response to, obviously, to marketing notions. And this is something that I've been experiencing. I launched my company in April, and I've been working with someone, similarly, to help with LinkedIn marketing. And when I started the company, I'm panicked of, how am I going to get more clients? How am I going to get more clients? Where are they going to come from? And he's preaching a similar thing. Like, if you build it, they will come. If you keep posting and post meaningful things, it'll happen. And, I have a good reputation for building sales teams. I have a good reputation for coaching salespeople. And so now it's just, my whole network is aware of, this is what I'm doing. And to the point where then if somebody has a need, it pops up. And I haven't done any outbound yet, but my client slate is full right now. Like, I couldn't take somebody else if I didn't want to. And he put it well. It's like, if you're going outbound directly, it's like picking fruit. But when you're playing the long game, as you're mentioning, it's like turning it into jam and putting it on the shelf. And they're going to come through every once in a while. And you may not be able to predict it, but it's a better quality lead that's coming through every single time. And I feel like that's right in line with what you're saying, what you're doing.
Totally. And I'll say this, people that own service-based businesses, right, that you bring in business and then you have to service that business. And so usually there's capped upside, because how do you scale that? Because if you got busy, you're busy, and then you're not selling. And then if you're selling, so by being able to build in public and share what you know and share your journey, you are working on the work, which just leads to sales opportunities. So it's not either or, it's not in lieu of, they just happen at once. I don't know that really happened with prior social networks. I don't really know if that happened. Certainly didn't happen when you were, smiling and dialing and trying to like buy leads and whatever. But that's why LinkedIn has been this amazing equalizer of like, because it's like on Instagram, they don't really want to know that you run sales teams, and it's like, enough. Like, dude, I don't want to know that. But on LinkedIn, that's exactly what they want to know. I'm also shocked by how few people know what a lot of the people in their life do. Like, it'll be like, yeah, this is my buddy who works in finance. I'm like, oh, what's he do? No idea. Right. So it's like, so now on LinkedIn, they're like, I really know what you do. Like, I get it. You share it. It's awesome. So I think that also helps.
I never thought about that. You're absolutely right. And, there's another thing that you touched on of, sharing what you do, sharing the journey, like being honest. When I started, again, so I'm just reflecting on this. When I started this and I'm telling, how should I pitch this? Someone said to me, like, don't give away the magic, because someone could just take it and run with it. And the overwhelming opposite side of the opinion was, share the magic because you're the one who knows how to perform it, And when you meet someone, this is a new thing I've even taken on when networking. When I network, don't ever tell them what you do. Focus on what they do. What do they need help with? Solve that problem. And by doing that, you're demonstrating I can do this, as opposed to saying this is what I do. And then at some point they'll flip and ask, by the way, like, what do you do? And if you say, for example, I'm like coaching a sales team, or in your case, I run this media company, they're thinking, oh, of course. You explained that like really well. That all really made a ton of sense. And it's a value creation that you're doing. Essentially through LinkedIn, you're putting out the recipe on there. Like, let them try to cook it on their own, but you're the chef. You're the one who concocted it. That's, they're going to remember your name.
That's right. And there's also there's a lot of depth building that you can do. So if you've been doing something a long time, like 13 years now helps, but obviously when you're 3 months in, you're new. So it's hard. You can't hang a shingle that said, founded 2025. It sounds like you just started. But on LinkedIn, you're able to share receipts. Like, you may have just started a consulting company in 25, but you've been at this game for over a decade. And in that decade, having old accolades, old assets that you can share, it just proves out and just subconsciously checks the box of, I have legacy and I have history, without having to sell it in everyone's face. So I think that goes to what you're saying, like, don't just pitch, but they sort of see it. And what is true though, and this is like counterintuitive for LinkedIn strategy, when I post really meaningful stuff, like I posted a strategic post today and a strategic post on Monday, like things that showed real tactical warfare, those almost never go above 1,000 impressions. They never do, even though that's the most value. And then when I post like a picture of me with more black hair from 12 years ago in the journey, those crush. So you think just feed the beast of what crushes, but I like to keep a balance of it because I'd rather bring the value.
I had a similar experience with this recently where post a picture of myself smiling and it's got some, whatever the fuck it says, goes bananas and everybody likes it. It's getting 60 likes and I didn't even do anything to, in a day, and I didn't even do anything to promote it. And then I'll post a video of myself like on this podcast. Like I made a comment about something with Salesforce and people hiring like a Salesforce or an Oracle salesman saying that'll fix the company. And it's just like a lazy way to do things. And it didn't get as many likes. Like 5 different people came up to me in my life and said, I loved what you said about that. Like people who I'd never met before. There was a guy I met the first time and he's like, by the way, that was sick what you said on there. And it's like, well, then I got to keep doing that because if they may not be clicking it, but it's clearly making an impression somewhere. And I will say another thing. I want to talk, just going back to Sircle Media. I think it's very cool how linear your business can be, where you're advertising yourself and you're basically saying to these food and beverage brands without saying it, like, you want this? I can do this for it. Like, you're looking at it. Like the product is right here and it's very appealing. And I imagine that leads to a very short sales cycle because there's not so much to even explain.
That's right. Yeah, it really, really helps hit it on the head. And I think the example you just gave, whether 30 people viewed something or 30,000, they both have value and you might get a great opportunity out of the 30. All these people in the walks of my life will talk to me and they'll be like, I love your content, and they'll call something out. And often it's like, oh my God, that was probably like one of my least performing posts. Because I definitely look. I don't change behavior, but I look and I'll be like, wow, that had like 400 views. And he's like, yeah, but man, that one really hit it with me. And it's like some guy in private equity, some guy I'm thinking about, I see him in like family things and he's like, this thing that you did. And I'm like, that's so weird that's what stuck with you. So that's why it's just like, share all the things. Like you don't know, but I think you don't want to be random. Or some people will call me, be like, Adam, you're great at LinkedIn. Like, how can I do that? And I'm like, you got to just, what do you talk about? What do you think you should talk about? What do you feel comfortable talking about? And a lot of people have like analysis paralysis or writer's block. They just are nervous to get in the game. And I think you just need to get in the game and then results happen.
So what suggestions do you have for somebody who wants to post more and they have that analysis paralysis? Like what's like a tactical suggestion for that?
I think on LinkedIn specifically, you can play songwriter or DJ. So if you're nervous, you could play DJ by sharing stuff. So it could just be a great post about something and then you can just share, like, super stoked to see this brand just bought this brand. I can't wait to see how that turns out. Have had my eye on this for a while, yada, yada, yada. For someone like you could be like, Salesforce just posted their earnings. Interesting to see that they're switching from this to that, whatever. So that's easy. And that's at least something. Like a good way to think about it is like going to the gym. Like, should you go to the gym and spend like 30 minutes on cardio and 30 minutes on weights? Yes. If you can't do that, you shouldn't just sit at your desk. Maybe you could go for a walk. You could put some just weights next to you and just do some stuff while you're waiting for a call. Like, it doesn't have to be binary. It's either full boat or not. And like, that would be my number recommendation. Like, a little workout is better than no workout. And it really does compound like working out. If you walked every day for 20 minutes, you'll see results in a year, but not in a day.
I love that. I think of the line from BoJack where they say like, it gets easier, but you have to do it every day. That's the hard part. I think that's great. You know what someone told me to do was, when I was trying to conquer this exactly, was I want you to write out like 10 beliefs that you have, core beliefs that you have in terms of sales, and 10 core beliefs that you have in terms of management. All right. Now, each one of those, like, that can be a post. And if you put a picture with it, woof, like you're really cooking with gas.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I have never used AI for any of my own posts, even though I use AI and I'm a religious believer in AI at our company. A lot of people are outsourcing entirely to AI now. You can just see long posts with bullets and whatever, which I think is, I'm not going to hate on it, but I don't love that. But
it's not like Gary Vaynerchuk with these like long one bullet line, like, all right.
But a lot of it's just copying. A lot of it has that format. So, but I think doing what you said, one of two things. One, you would make Max Copilot and you would say, here's what I believe. And now based on what I believe, what are some great prompts? And that'll give you tons of them. Now you have hundreds, whatever. And there's other now plugins on ChatGPT or separate AI tools where you could say, now write me 30 LinkedIn posts, 6 blog posts, whatever, one button, and they're all written and they put into a calendar and it just pops up each day. You just copy and paste. So there's really no excuse these days. Even if you're outsourcing to AI, you could just be consistent. I would just say, take it and put your own spin on it. Don't just like take it, because then you're not really a specialist. Because if I did that and you did that raw from ChatGPT around sales, a lot of our point of view might start to sound the same.
Yeah, and it's authentic. You lose your edge. But so are you big? Do you post a lot? I'm sure you post like a lot of pictures with your texts.
I don't post a lot of pictures I do post a lot of photos. Like the best thing that works is like for if you want actual performance are any receipts from your life. That's it. So anything. So I go into my iPhone. I'm like, do I have anything back from like 14 years ago? And because people like the journey, it's very relatable. They like the fact that like, it seems like we're doing so great and people like, right, but it's hard. And in the beginning, it was very hard. And we've had pandemics. This is a second career for me. My career went out of business cold turkey when I was 32. So I had to restart. So people love that more than how great I'm doing now. They're like, what'd you do at 32 with young kids? Like, so I think having those, but generally like videos, sometimes text. Actually, I posted the other day, you mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you follow me on LinkedIn. I think that's how we met. But I just posted, I just interviewed a kid, told me he loves social media since he's like a teenager, since he's like 13. And I asked him about Gary Vaynerchuk and he never heard of Gary Vaynerchuk. Is that a red flag? Literally just text. And it has like 64,000 impressions.
That's very cool. That's something I never thought of.
I didn't think of anything. I just hung up and I'm like, is this a red flag? And I just put that out and it's one of my top 10 performers ever.
Oh, I'm so stealing that from you. I'm so stealing it. It's like that format and seeing the text bubble draws eyes.
Yeah, and people just chime in. Obviously, just like you just said, he's polarizing. Some people are fans, some people are not. And it was a good conversation starter, And so that's why even those sometimes work. That's why it's really everything. It's not just one thing.
I dig it. And I hear people hate on, they're like, oh, don't use LinkedIn like Facebook. And I'm thinking, who cares? And it's true. Those pictures of like, I'll post something sales related, it'll get some likes. I post, hey, we just had a child, and like, boom, like it really goes bananas. And you don't want to just use it about like, I think people might even get sick of that, but it's a nice, weave through, because I think LinkedIn, it can be phony sometimes, like you're saying, you seem very successful and everyone's trying to seem very successful. But when you weave in a little of like, this is what's really going on, it balances it. It creates a little bit of like a traction or a base to everything else that you're doing. It reminds people there's a person behind this.
Totally. I would say it's not just I own a social media agency. It's really, I'm a second-time founder. I'm an entrepreneur. I had to be reborn in my 30s. I had to start from scratch. I've scaled a couple of companies. I do like Michigan. I've mentioned it 3 times already on this call.
Yeah.
I have daughters. My daughters have come to work. So I'm just saying like the narrative, you can't fake it, but it's just your story, which makes you more relatable than I own a social media agency. If it's just a social media agency, there's thousands of us. But it's like, I'm going to work with you and I'm going to work with the people you've hired, which should mean to me that they subscribe to your philosophy. So I should make sure that I jive with your philosophy before I hire you. And I think that goes a long way.
So let me ask, those things that work, what doesn't work? Where do people shoot themselves in the foot and have no idea?
I mean, for me, like I said, sometimes when I'm just like the straight good stuff, like, hey, this influencer thing we did, these results, check it. Those, like, they just are duds. They rarely pop 1,000 impressions. I don't love these clearly AI copy and pasted, this long philosophy where it got bullets with the emojis and it really feels like you just called it in. Because now it feels lazy. It may be good and it may be, I'm busy, so that's what I need to do. But I actually think it triggers to the person lazy. And that's not what you want to get across. Because if you're lazy now, are you going to be lazy when I give you my business? So that's not good. So you have to think about those things. I do think negativity is not great. I don't share anything negative. So I think everyone's inclined to be like, let me be polarizing, let me be negative. And like, there's a few people on LinkedIn that just are the saltiest negative people I've ever seen. And I have a text exchange with a couple of my buddies in CPG, and we just will copy it and paste it. And we'll be like, bro, what? And it's a lot of the time, like the same 4 or 5 just super aggro negative people. And it's like, no value to me, but that is an approach that some people take.
I feel like I don't see negativity on LinkedIn. I feel like I'm kind of curious to see what these posts are because I feel like everyone's trying to pose themselves as something other than negative, I guess.
Or it might just be like somebody says something really positive and thoughtful, right? And then the comments start and they'll be like, well, that's interesting. And just like a ridiculous, like an annoying contrarian uncle poses some like useless piece of conversation starter to the chat. And it's like, dude, what? But it's on LinkedIn and it's on public wax. So now it's like, now you're the person. And like, am I going to respond to that? Like even my Gary Vaynerchuk post, a lot of them are like coming at me, like pretty lame that you wouldn't hire somebody because they don't follow like the moron that you follow. And it's like, what, dude? Like, what are we talking about here?
Now that you're pointing that out, that I see all the time. And I think people are like trying to look, I have the balls to go against what's on LinkedIn. And I think you're right. Like, don't engage. It's like engaging in troll behavior in a professional forum. That's ridiculous.
Engaging in troll behavior makes you a troll. And you don't want, who wants to be a troll? So like, just don't do it.
Nobody wants to be the troll. And there have been things where I've seen, and I'm similar. Like you'll never find anything inherently negative on other, I don't know. You'll never find anything negative that I'm putting out there, but you will see something over the top of like my dog died and here's what it taught me about enterprise sales. And you see everyone like ragging on it. It's like, why even bother? Maybe they're even goading for that.
That is possible. I mean, you have really positive energy, so I think you probably slant that way anyway.
Well, and then you look like an idiot if you're hopping on it.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what the purpose of that is. I just think it is like, let me be contrarian, let me like ruffle feathers, let me show I have a point of view. And like, I don't think that has a lot of value, so I stay away from it.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I also, going back to what you said about it is getting obvious when people are using AI to post. And like, I'll be honest with mine, sometimes I'll tease it out with AI where I have this thought, but it just feels a little clunky. And I don't feel like just needing through all of it. So I'll throw some iterations and I don't do anything without my wife. And I'm like, hey, Jesse, what do you think of this? And it ends up making it up. But there are times where, and I don't want to point anybody out, but I'll see somebody and it's become obvious that this person decided I'm going to post every day on LinkedIn and they're doing it through AI. And it's like, then just don't. Like, you clearly hate doing this. And it's all with the emojis and the what do you think at the end. And it's like, you're putting out the wrong deal, essentially.
I agree. I think it has an ancillary negative impact that they might not even realize. And so it's use tools, but use them in the right way. And I think outsourcing your commentary and beliefs to that is wrong.
Yeah. And I've noticed those people are all in sales. And that's another, like, you're clearly just trying to get out there. So potentially a client will see your name more and it feels icky. It feels like transactional. This is really interesting because a lot of the stuff I've been trying to do in my world and seeing what's where it is relatively new to me. I'm not a big put myself out there on social media. Like if you follow me on Instagram, you're going to hate it because there's nothing ever going on. Like I just sit back. But so posting on LinkedIn has been such a different deal. And, when I've been bringing in clients and people are saying, well, where are you getting them from? And I'm like, well, it's from people I know. And I know in my heart of hearts, and I can directly attribute this to being pretty active out here. So when somebody does have a need that I'm looking like, I'm there, I'm polished, I'm professional. And it's marketing at the end of the day. I think people also forget that it really just is marketing. It's not social, like as this, like, I don't know, auxiliary avenue.
Totally. It's also really good for receipts. So from salesperson to salesperson, I have my own podcast that I've been doing on Anchor and now Riverside for years. I record 3 to 5 minute podcasts a lot. I used to do them daily and now I do it like once a week. We send them to all of our clients and now I have it on receipt. So when a client is like, I want more Instagram followers, instead of us like fighting that conversation in a rebuttal, our team is like, here's 6 podcasts that Adam has done on that topic over the years, or let me send you 5 links of recent posts I've done on LinkedIn. I think it takes the bite away from it feeling like I'm pretty quick with my, words and I'm a salesperson, so I'm going to convince you otherwise. When they can read it, it feels less threatening. And it's amazing if they see like support from a client. So testimonials go a long way. LinkedIn recommendations, I have hundreds.
Yeah, I saw that. You have a crazy amount of LinkedIn recommendations.
But people say, is there anything I could do for you? It's been amazing. I'm like, honestly, the most important thing you could do, because I think those are like my Amazon reviews. So people are going to go and like, those are, what's really cool about those is those are not BS references. Somebody has to receive it write it, post it, and now it's on public record.
Wow. And it's right on your channel. Like it's right on where you live.
And it's more than just being like, Adam's a nice guy. Like they are writing something that will live for eternity on LinkedIn. So those are real endorsements. There's no faking that, right? Because you're not going to put yourself out there. So I always try to say like, hey man, if you would write or, this would be amazing. And like almost 95%, they're like, yeah, sure. Like absolutely.
That's so smart. That's such a smart idea. I feel like not enough people take advantage of that.
I feel like no one does it. I always look, they're almost always blank.
I know. I'm thinking like I've worked with hundreds of salespeople and I think I have 7 LinkedIn recommendations because I never ask for it.
Yeah, it's a good thing to ask for. It has more value. When you know that it has value, you start to maybe just ask it a little bit more, and it's pretty innocuous and somebody can say no, but if they say yes, they're huge.
I remember one time I had a client ask me, like, it's been a great experience working with you. Could I, would it be helpful if I wrote a LinkedIn recommendation? And I was like, I knew I was being considered for promotion. And I said, instead, could you write an email to my boss? And it's like kind of the same idea. Like, hell, I could have brought that LinkedIn recommendation to my boss and it would have been permanent on my, on my account.
I would also argue if you're a salesman or if you're somebody that works in my agency and you're rocking and rolling with the accounts that you have, like we cap our social media managers at 3 accounts. We do that so they can have like good work-life balance, like focus, not get like crushed into the ground like other agencies do. So maybe you're working on 3 accounts at any time and those are great. You're like very integrated. I would ask each point of contact to write me a recommendation. And then if they come to me for a raise and a promotion, not only would we go off of like what we see, I'd be like, yo, have you seen these? Because each point of contact wrote a public LinkedIn recommendation for the work that I do. No one does that. I've never seen anybody do that that's ever worked for me.
Oh my God. I feel like I want to start making that a standard in my contract. Like in addition to like, you'll do a testimonial or whatever, like you're going to write a LinkedIn recommendation.
It's a good ask. And it's just like a good marketing tool because a lot of times if my employees did that more and got them, it's usually like, I work with so-and-so at Sircle Media, so that's good advertising for my agency. So it's a double win. It would make me look at them better and it also helps the agency, but no one really takes advantage of it, which is interesting.
That's awesome. Can I ask another question, even just tactically? Carousels, videos, of these mediums that you can put on LinkedIn, what do you see? What's the best? Is there a hierarchy or is it just diversify and be logical about it?
Videos work well when you upload them natively. So you have to like download it. And it can't like link out. Like LinkedIn wants you to stay, so you don't want to link out to YouTube. So sometimes I'll take a TikTok or an Instagram. You can go to like Snaptik or these other websites, just download it to your desktop, upload that. So now it's native. If you then, the post I did today about a collaboration or a content we made for a client, I did that. I posted the video and then you can then add later the link in the comments if somebody actually wants to go. But you don't want to put it in the video, like in the actual post. The carousel, so the way you do carousels is you're actually like downloading something as a PDF and then you're uploading it into like a slide share. So I do those from time to time, like we have like a case study type thing. I think those are cool. Like I feel like they never really like crush, but it's a great way to show some like branded stuff. I think it's cool. And you can make anything into a video. So if you go to a trade show and you like shook hands with a bunch of people or you took a selfie with each person, you could just go on Canva and pick like a video template and just like upload 10 photos. And now you have a little video and it's like, just got back from so-and-so trade show in Vegas. Always good catching up with old friends. And it's got like bang, 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 like each person, it just has like an energy to it. Like you were out shaking hands, kissing babies and just politicking without you having to like get cute about which one you post or not. It's just like a sizzle reel. So there's so many tools now to take guys that are non-creatives like us and just like make something that's pretty creative without using a third party.
Well, I'm thinking, go to a trade show, make a video of you just kissing children throughout. That'd be so bizarre. But you're mentioning Canva. Do you guys, I guess you all have your own Canva licenses. You're adept at Canva. You're not outsourcing that. It's easy. It's so easy.
So easy. And in ChatGPT, you could do it too. Now you can be like, hey, here's what it is. Make an image for me. Or a good exercise, it's like what you know about Sircle Media, create an image that represents our agency and it will spit back an image. And it actually tells you a lot about what energy you're putting out into the world.
That's interesting.
Which can change things. But if you wanted to make an asset, or I think you were talking about text, so let's say you wanted to do a series of like quotes or things about sales, you could do that in ChatGPT. I want to make a daily post with a great sales quote from people like Dale Carnegie, and I want to be in this color with my logo, and like you could just rip through those, or on Canva or on CapCut. Like there's tools, and it used to be like if you and I tried to do it, it would look terrible and like janky, and you wouldn't want to post it. But now like they're pretty damn good, so it's worth trying.
Wow. Oh my God. I was looking at some guy on Fiverr to do something like that. I never even thought have ChatGPT just make the graphic for me. Just tell it what to do. That is super, super, super cool. Even just like taking a photo of me, take my logos, take my colors. Like that's I think a great way to take that simple list of your belief. Like there you go. There are your posts for the next year and they all look super sharp and super polished. That's probably way better than just throwing, hey, write me a post every day because I've made it my New Year's resolution to post more. All right. This is a cool episode.
I think that, well, look, I do think that everyone that works on social is a little bit chicken to sell in any capacity. So certainly food and beverage brands, they're always like, we don't want to be salesy. We don't want to push. And I'm like, every once in a while, you got to ask for the sale. So my biggest critique when I look at someone's Instagram, they're like, what do you think? I'm like, beautiful photos. Where can I buy the product? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't see one retailer mentioned. And they're like, well, we don't want to be cheesy, or, we're in 17 retailers and we don't want to alienate one versus the other. I'm like, you guys are overthinking it. Like if I land on your feed, it would be very helpful to know that you're available at Wegmans because I live in the Northeast and I can go get it at Wegmans. Like you're being too overly cute. So don't be scared to sell. I think, and then on B2B side, I think it's like you want to be salesy, but you also want to build relationships. It's like bring a guy, Gary Vee back, jab, 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 right hook. You don't want to just right hook. But I think people have over-indexed thinking that social is too social and not a place to sell. So I think they have to go from it's like zero selling or maximum selling, like find a better rhythm, but just don't go so binary with it. And I would encourage you, or certainly B2C, you got to make it not so hard for people to know who you are, why it matters, and where to buy it.
You're preaching to a choir over here. I mean, what's the point of putting all of this out if I don't know where to find it? And we go back to all of these things, but selling starts when you stop selling, you start helping. What's the point of these posts is to make your stuff look really good and to help people, like get them to find it. If you're so concerned about exactly as you're saying, it's either closing or no closing. There's a lot of gray area in the middle where you're actually, like you said, you're overthinking it. And I think about it this way. Like when you go to a doctor's office, they have you book your next appointment before you leave the place every time. Is that salesy? No, but that's closing. That's just like anything else.
I'll give you another example. We were talking about camps right before we got on the call. So we get the email to re-up for next summer for the daughter's camp right after lunch on visiting day.
Yeah.
While you're at lunch and while everyone's in a good mood, it literally comes. And I'm like, it's genius. Of course you're going to re-up right there, right? So that you got to do what you got to do.
And I when I tell salespeople, I coach salespeople, who are they going to go with at the end of the day? They're going to go with the person who made them feel it the most and made it easiest for them to buy. And they go hand in hand. Like, even if it's in a B2B scenario and you're saying like, listen, you guys have problems over there. You do. If you're not able to say that, somebody else is, and it's going to get in their ear. And then similarly, at the end of the call, don't just say, all right, so float it internally and we'll see what happens. Like, no, say, listen, so when do you want this done? All right, so then you should probably talk to this person, talk to this, and then let's talk next week if you want it to be done by next month. Make it easy for them, like lay the tracks for them. Otherwise, you're assuming a lot of somebody, similar to the food and beverage brand of, I saw your ad, I thought it was great. Now you're assuming you're trusting me to Google this and turn my location settings on and click the store and see if it's in stock at the store near me. Nobody's going to do that. So what was the point of all of this?
Totally. I think sales is defined as helping people make good decisions for them. I am a good salesman, but I'm not an ice to the Eskimo type salesman. I don't really want to sell anything I don't believe in. Plus, I worked in the mortgage industry for a long time, so I have rebirth. So to me, if you're in sales and something you believe in, it shouldn't be hard for you to tell people and explain to them based on what they need, how you might be able to help them.
I'm working with a team and you get on a call, the first 5 minutes, you're doing nothing but figuring out, can I help you or not? And if I cannot help you, I'm going to tell you right now and I'll save your time. I'll try to make a recommendation on someone that can. But if I can help you and this actually makes sense for you, then truth is I'm a jerk if I don't get you to do this. I'm letting you go on and keep going on with the problem or make a bad decision. Why? Because I'm afraid to do what? And it's all about, I think, that mentality of between the closing and not closing. It doesn't have to be so binary.
Totally. And I start a lot of my sales calls. I get on the phone with somebody because a lot of it's like LinkedIn, like, hey, Adam, can we connect? I'm like, sure. I get on and almost always in the first 3 minutes, I ask them how much revenue they do. And a lot of times they're like, that's a presumptuous question to ask like 3 minutes into knowing each other. I'm like, because if you're below a certain level, we're going to pause and I'm going to give you advice like if I were your partner on what I would do at that level.
Hell yeah. Treat them like a partner.
Yeah, we're doing 1.5 million. I'm like, you're so far away from our services, but here's how you're going to get to that level. Here's what I would do. And this is what I would do. And usually they're like, and then I'll hear 2 months later, like I did exactly what you said. And a lot of those clients have come around years later into like clients, or they referred me somebody because it's a small industry. So helping people, even if it means not with you, goes a long way.
Okay, like how much do you do in revenue and it's below the mark that you're looking for? Like, I can't help you unless I actually know what's going on. And if you're expecting me to just play this game, if you're kind of pushing me into this jerk sales motion of just, I'm going to sell anybody and people, it's convoluted. It's not how these things actually work. Like my favorite opener when you get on a call is like, why are we here today? Like, why am I on the phone with you right now? Nobody's looking for a LinkedIn expert because it's fun. Nobody's looking for a sales help, coach team like because they were bored on their computer and were just like fucking around on Google. You did this because there's something wrong, something that you could use help with. So like, talk to me. Like what's the problem? Get right to it. And if you're afraid to do that, then you're never actually going to be able to help them. You're going to be playing this like crappy game of let's talk to each other from an arm's distance and both make a ton of assumptions that this will work out one way or the other.
That's right.
All right. I'm going to clip the episode here because otherwise they're going to be listening for a very, very long time. But dude, so glad you were able to come on the show. This was fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And that's it for this episode of Closing Conversations. Big thanks to Adam Brown for joining me. Always refreshing to hear someone who's not just selling a service, but living it every day. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a share, drop it a review, or send it to someone who needs to hear it. For more on building sales teams that actually deliver, visit www.commissionsales.com. Until next time, let's get closing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget, you can always catch us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for more episodes of Closing Conversations.